Hey there, and welcome back. So we got a really cool topic to talk about, and that is, do you have what it takes to build a $5,000 WordPress website? So we're going to talk about some. I was given a talk last night and came up with this kind of interesting analogy that I wanted to share with you today. But I apologize. I'm a little bit late this morning. I was trying to set up a different camera, and for whatever reason, that didn't quite work out. So I'm going to give it a try again, maybe for Thursday. But so anyway, so do you have what it takes to build a $5,000 WordPress website? And so I was reading online a couple days ago that the average price of a WordPress site build, not including like a custom site or whatever, but like the average price that a WordPress developer charges to build a site is about $1,000. And so I thought it would be an interesting topic to say, well, what does it take to do more than that? And so here is the list, right? So if you want to build a $5,000 WordPress site, it's going to have to be responsive. You're going to have to install an SEO plugin. You're going to have to find fast, reliable hosting. So actually, you know what? None of that matters. None of that actually matters at all. That's not any of the things that it takes to build a $5,000 WordPress site. Hey, Rick, good to see you again today, sir. And so what it actually takes is you have to do something better than that. You have to do, everybody's doing those things. Everybody is talking about the best plugin combination. You have to find the right theme. You have to find a theme that looks good on mobile devices and tablets and desktops and all the things. And, it's got to be fast and everything else. None of those things are the things that it takes to build a $5,000 WordPress website. And so I figured we would get into a little bit about that today. And here's the thing. If you're in the business of just building websites, so like if you go to a client meeting, the people show up or whatever, and they say, here's what I want you to do, and they give you the copy, they give you some Word documents or whatever, and they want you to put those on the internet, and then you say, okay, that's not going to work out in terms of building a $5,000 or more website. You have to do better than that. And if you can do better than that, it's actually going to be a win for everyone involved. So the thing that I was talking about last night was, if your client sees you as an expense rather than an investment, if your client sees you as an expense, they're going to try to get the price down as low as possible. And like I just had what was it, maybe 2 weeks ago, I had a call from a guy who wanted me to build a WordPress site for him. And one of the very first things that he said was, I've got about $1,000. Can you put up a site for me? So I doubt that he read the article that I was reading last couple days ago, but it really just kind of, when I saw it a few days ago, really underscored the point that, people come to you thinking they're going to spend about $1,000 for their site. And so like, what do you do if you want more than that? What do you want to do if you want to serve your client better than that? And what do you do if you want to run a business that delivers more value than that? So if somebody comes to you and gives you this list of things that they want you to do, it's not enough to take Word documents and then put them on the internet, in a way that looks good and that is responsive and that whatever. And so it does not take, blogging. It doesn't take SEO plugins and SEO optimization. It doesn't take, all of the things that normally people put in their proposals, like fast, reliable hosting, content delivery networks, SSL certificates. Those aren't the things that it takes to get above that $1,000 mark. That's what everybody is doing. And so the analogy that came up last night was, suppose you're shopping in a grocery store and you want to buy some apples. And so you walk through the produce aisle and there you see a lovely bag of apples. And then sitting right next to it is another lovely bag of apples from a different brand. But it's the same kind of apples. They're all equally fresh and none of them are dented and bruised and rotting or anything. They're basically the same thing. And so what do you do? How do you figure out which bag to buy? Well, you look at the price. And all things being equal, you would just buy the cheaper bag of apples. And so what I'm trying to say here with that is, if your client is shopping for a website and you're doing the exact same thing that everyone else is doing, then that's not going to work out for you. You can't raise your prices if everyone else is going to be doing the same exact thing. So for example, if I looked at that bag of apples and one of them was, $5 and the other one was $500, well, I mean, obviously you would pick the $5 bag of apples because it's the same thing. And so I don't care. Like when I show up to buy the apples, I don't care who picked the apples or what kind of truck they were delivered in or any of those things or whatever the details are that go into the apples. I really don't care. I just want the bag of apples. And that's what happens. That's the same thing with your clients. They don't really care about responsive websites. I mean, of course they want it to look good on mobile devices, but that's just like, duh. It's kind of like the bag of apples. Like I don't want to buy a bag of apples filled with worms, but it's like by default, I'm just looking at the apples, and if they look okay, then good. And that's the same kind of thing. Like if your client is looking at your website and it doesn't look like, it looks like trash on a mobile device, then that's like a bag of apples with worms in it. Nobody else is doing that. Why can't you deliver a bag of apples that doesn't have worms? Why can't you deliver a website that looks good on phones or whatever? So that's not the kind of thing that bumps you up. That's the kind of thing that disqualifies you altogether. So what does it take if you need to get bumped up? That's the thing. That's the real high value thing. And what it takes is expertise. You have to understand the business side of what your clients really need. So, and so let me say that another way. So if your client comes into you and they are the ones leading the conversation, and they say, hey, you know what? I want you to put up, these 5 pages, and this is what the nav needs to say. And, and they kind of, they play it off like they don't really know what they're talking about. They say, I need you to make sure it looks good and, the internet, whatever. That's not going to be the kind of thing that's going to bump you up if you're just saying, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do it. So if you're just the bobblehead doing the yes, that's not the kind of thing that's going to inspire confidence. That's not the kind of thing that's going to change the view, to change your client's view of you from being an expense to an investment. And what I mean by, let's dig into that expense investment thing a little bit more, because it's really the fundamental issue with regard to changing your pricing. You can't just raise the price. So here's the thing. So I have 2 kinds of things that I've dealt with in my life that I really like. I like cars and I like guitars. So in particular, I've had BMWs, and they're really nice, but I've also had just really inexpensive cars. So but here's the thing. When you're buying a car, it's very different from what we're talking about with buying a website. Because here's the thing. I can be in the cheapest car there ever was, or I can be riding in a BMW. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to get from point A to point B. It doesn't matter how expensive the car is. The outcome is the same. When I drive from my house to work or whatever it might be, the outcome is the same. I once was at my house, now I'm at work, and the car took me there. And it doesn't matter if I spent 15 grand for the car or 50 grand for the car, I'm still at work, right? So, okay, yeah, maybe there's a nicer stereo system. Maybe the seats are leather, whatever. Maybe it's a nicer experience along the way, but the outcome is the same. And so the thing about this whole car thing is, you can pretty much raise the price of the car without changing the outcome at all. You can't really change the outcome. The bottom line is you need to take people from point A to point B. That's what cars do. And so, you can't like say, your $15,000 car or whatever, that's only going to take you halfway. Nobody would ever, that's just not how it works. But here's the other thing that I also like. I like guitars. I play the guitar. I've been playing the guitar since I was 12 years old or something. And there is a different outcome if you have a high value guitar. And that is you can't sound good on a cheap guitar. And I didn't know this until, strangely deep into my guitar life. I was always buying these $150, $300 guitars. And I was looking at, videos on YouTube or whatever. And I was like, why can't I sound like that? How come they're better than me at all of the things? What does it take? How come I can't play the chords as crisply? And why don't the notes sound as clear? And so the thing about the guitar is when you get a better guitar, it delivers a better outcome for the guitar player. So what that means is I play the acoustic guitar, so I know a lot about acoustic guitars. And so if you get a guitar that has better wood in it, the type of wood that the guitar is made of makes a big difference. Not only that, but when you start getting up into the higher end guitars, the distance between the strings and the guitar neck gets a little bit smaller, but you can still play the string without it buzzing all the time. And so, that's called the action. The action is a little bit lower on really nice guitars, and that makes it easier and faster to play. So it's not as hard to push the strings down, and you can push more strings down faster. You can move your fingers around faster because you don't have to make as much motion. And so better quality guitars sound better. They deliver a better outcome. They make the musician actually better. So like if you give a cheap guitar to some famous guitar player, they're going to sound okay because they've got good skills, but they're not going to sound professional. They're not going to sound as good as they otherwise would if you gave them a really nice guitar, right? And so the point that I'm trying to make here is guitars and cars are very, very different. And the deal is websites, if you want to have a high value website, it's much more like selling guitars than it is selling cars, because you can't just raise the price of your website and just expect people to buy it because it costs more. You have to deliver a better outcome. And unlike cars, all cars basically deliver the same outcome. They take you from one place to another. But unlike that, guitars, if you buy a better one, you sound better. You can play better. You can play faster. Everything is better. And that's what it takes to deliver a high value WordPress site. You have to deliver a better outcome. And what that means is, if you're sitting around and you're putting together a website and you're doing all the things, right? You're making it responsive, you're making it fast, you're making it secure, you're hosting it in a good place, all of the things that are required to get the website online or whatever. You're doing all of those things, but so is everybody else. Not only is everybody else doing it, but you don't even have to have a developer help you out these days. I mean, the free website builders that are out there are like pretty good. I mean, people can use them without really any instruction, and they're able to get it to look pretty good on mobile devices. And they can if they want to spend the time doing it, they can take their Word documents and type them into Wix or whatever, and they end up with a site. So there's no way that you can raise your value, raise the price of your website too much higher, because you're not competing against value. You're competing against convenience. And you're competing against everybody else that's doing the same thing. So for example, if you said, it's going to cost $20,000 to build this website, somebody's going to say, well, forget that. I'm just going to go type it up myself on one of those free website builders. So there's in their mind, they kind of have a couple of outs, the other options. Or if you say, it's $20,000, but the guy over there, they'll do it for $1,000, then they'll just do that unless you do something else. Just like when you're looking at that bag of apples, if one of the bags of apples is like way more expensive than the other ones, it doesn't even matter if the bag or whatever is a little bit nicer or whatever. There's like a small difference. The deal is, if you raise your prices, you're going to price yourself out of the market, and someone else is going to buy somebody's going to buy another bag of apples. They're not going to buy yours. And so you have to change the way that people view who you are and what you're doing, and you have to change the way that you view yourself and what you're doing. So you can't just be thinking of yourself as, okay, I'm going to show up at the meeting and I'm going to be the bobblehead and I'm going to say, yes, I can do all the things, and then deliver the website. And, we talked about last week, if you do that, you're setting yourself up for so many problems. The first problem is you can't raise the price too high because someone's going to buy the other bag of apples. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. But remember from last week, we talked about if you set the initial expectations with your client as you being the bobblehead, then when you show up to deliver the website, it doesn't really matter how good the website is. You're going to be having one of those conversations where they're going to have that, the pinched eyebrows, where they're looking at what you did and trying to figure out, what to change and how to fix it, and what would be better. And of course, they're going to be at that point, they're going to start making recommendations that's going to make stuff worse. But see, what's happened is in their minds, they're leading the thing. They're leading the project. They're the project managers, and you're just the bobblehead. And so in order to get past that, you have to begin the relationship by offering something better. And that's one of these things, one of the main things that I really underscore with regard to, any of the training that I do with anybody, is the first thing that you need to do, the very first thing, before you get into any of the technical stuff or any of the coding or e-commerce or marketing, before you get into any of those things, the very first thing you have to do is you have to change the way you view yourself, change the way you view what you deliver, and change the way that you view your clients. And all of it has to be founded with leadership and the highest standards of integrity. And if you do that, that changes fundamentally the essence of how you interact with your clients, because now you're the one bringing the concepts to the table. You're the one leading them into solutions that they don't even know exist. Like why would you ever expect your client to show up and know more about the internet and how it works than you do when they do something else? Maybe they're a doctor, maybe they do whatever they do. They're really good at that. We are the ones that need to say, hey, we know what the internet can do, and here's how I think we can apply some of these tools to your business. And if you're doing that, and it's not just because you're trying to make more money out of it, this is the kind of stuff that actually makes everyone win. And if you fundamentally change the way that you view yourself and the way you view these meetings, and you go into it thinking, you know what? I'm going to crush this meeting. I'm really going to do it. Before you show up, you learn the tools and the skills that are required to literally change the way people's businesses run because of the internet. And you show up at the meeting and you come to it, and before you even walk through the door, you think, you know what I'm going to do? When I see my client, I am going to serve them better than they have ever been served by anyone else ever in their lives. Not just with web stuff, but you have to come there saying, I am going to serve these people more than they have ever been served, better, with better ideas, better concepts, better outcomes. So I'm going to tell them stuff they've never heard of before. I'm going to show them how we can use their internet as a tool to grow their business, and they're not buying the website. At that point, when you bust through the doors and you sit down at the table and you lift open your laptop and you start showing people examples of what can be done, and you're showing them stuff they haven't seen, and you're delivering different outcomes, like with the guitar, right? You strum that guitar and it sounds better than anything they've ever heard before, because it's a really nice guitar and it delivers better outcomes. And so when you open up your laptop and you start showing people what you can do and how it impacts their business and how it changes things, and it exceeds what they think they already know, then you're the expert now. You're the one that's putting the perspective, the focus, the goals. You're the one inserting all of that into the meeting. And now your client's turned into the bobblehead, right? They're the ones saying, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I want to see that happen. Yeah, put that on the site. Let's have that. That's great. In fact, that's exactly what you have to do. Not too long ago, I was actually doing a Skype call with one of my clients who's in California. I'm in Virginia, all the way across the country. And we were talking about this stuff. And this guy was kind of an older dude. And it's probably 55, 60 years old. And he wanted a website. At one point, he literally spun 360s in his chair, clapping his hands like he was a little kid, because this is what it takes to do this kind of stuff. And so that's what it means. So like if you want to have what it takes to deliver a high value project, then you have to go into the meeting with this attitude that you're going to serve your clients more and better and with cooler stuff and stuff they've never heard of before, and fundamentally change the way their business works because of what you're doing. Now, here's the last thing I want to say about all that. If you do that, if that's the way you show up at your meetings, then here's what's going to happen. You're going to get what I call the triple win. And I've talked about this before, but this is such a huge deal. Sometimes I get a little bit carried away about it. I'll try to keep myself together. The triple win is it's better for everyone when that happens. It's better for you because now you're making more money, you're running a better business, you're delivering more value, you're doing cooler stuff that you love. You're not just the bobblehead. You're really being creative. And your meetings are going to go better. Everything is going to be better for you. It's better for your client because now they're getting access to stuff that they didn't know about before. Like you're telling them the stuff that they didn't know that they didn't know. Like I don't know if you have noticed any of the other videos in the past, but I talk about the stuff that you don't know that you don't know. And that's the kind of stuff that when you bring that to the meeting, that's what puts you as the expert in the eyes of your client. And so it's better for them because your client's benefiting because they're coming away from the meeting with ideas and concepts and goals for their business and their website that they didn't even have. They're completely outside of their heads before. They're not showing up at the meeting telling you what to do. And, and they're not the internet expert. They're not the web guy. You are. And so if you show up at the meeting understanding that, then your client is better off for it because now they're getting better service, better stuff. And it's not the same bag of apples. You're not, at this point, instead of having a bunch of bags of apples in front, you're the guy selling the apple pie. You're the guy doing better than that. You're the guy, everybody else is sitting walking here, buy my bag of apples, and you're serving up this awesome apple pie with ice cream on top. That's the difference. And then, of course, everyone wants that instead of the bag of apples. And then your clients are going to be thanking you for charging them more because you're delivering these better outcomes. It's a huge, huge win for you. It's a huge win for them. But it doesn't stop there. There's another thing. It's a huge win for your clients' customers. And the reason that it's a huge win for them is because if you had just been the bobblehead and had done the stuff that your client told you to do, and now keep in mind, you could do it awesome. I mean, the site could look fantastic, but if you're not coming to the table with ideas that they don't have and tools and systems and processes that are going to convert their traffic into leads and leads into customers, if you're not able to communicate on an individual basis with the people that show up at the site, even after they leave the site, so you can continue to educate them about what your clients can do, then it's a lose for them. Because a lot of the times we work with people that do awesome stuff, and if the people that are doing the awesome stuff don't have the ability to get it out there, they're not able to serve their clients. So like we were just talking about how when you show up at the meeting, you've got to serve your clients better than they've ever been served before. But your clients want to do that to their customers too. So like you need to be able to help your clients serve their customers better than their customers have ever been served before. And a lot of times, these people that we're working with, they do brand new stuff. Like if you're working with like health people or dietitians or whatever, which I'm kind of deep into the functional medicine community and do a lot of doctor sites and things. And these people actually help people with stuff that they've never heard of before, and it gets their lives back. It's a huge deal, and they don't know your clients' customers don't necessarily know what your clients can do, and so a lot of times your clients can do a lot of things, and so you have to know what the person that's landing on the website, what aspect of the business do they care about, So like if you're trying to lose weight, if you're overweight and you want to lose weight, you probably don't care too much about gluten sensitivity, celiac disease, and all that stuff. You want to know about calories and fat and things like that. And conversely, if you're suffering because you can't leave the house or go out to your kid's birthday, or you can't go anywhere because if you're afraid that if you eat something, your entire life is going to fall apart because you're going to get sick and it's going to be terrible. And so you just stay at home and you're isolated and you're alone and you're missing out on life. Well, you don't really care too much about losing weight. You're probably already lost too much weight at that point because you can't eat anything. You care about how do you fix the problems that are wrecking your gut. And so when you work with your client, it's, you can come to the table with ideas and say, hey, look, here's the different aspects of the things that we do. And you can help your customer share it with their customers. You help your client share with their customers, what the types of things that really matter and that they care about. And that's what generates the leads. That's what causes your clients' customers to become customers, because they're buying into the fact that they're going to get products and services that help them that they didn't even know about. And if it wasn't for you coming to the table with the idea to serve your client better than ever before, then none of that would be happening. And so everyone is winning if you just get up and rise above the bag of apples concept and stop selling bags of apples. And instead you start serving the apple pie. And you're delivering a better outcome from that. And so that's the main thing. That's the goal. So the way that you deliver these $5,000 or more websites is you rise above the stuff that everyone else is doing and do better than that. And the way that you do that is you fundamentally change the way that you view yourself, what you deliver. And what I mean by what you deliver is you don't just sell the websites. That's not the thing. You're not just selling the websites. You're selling the outcomes. And if you can sell better outcomes, that's where the value is. And I've got so much to say. I could do these talks for like hours. There's so much to talk about with regard to this stuff. But I know that everybody's has lunch breaks and has to get back to what they're doing. So we'll pretty much just keep it at this. But if this resonates with you, if this sounds like the stuff that you want to do and you want to get the skills and the tools and just pack your toolbox with all the kinds of stuff that you need so that you can show up at client meetings and tell them exactly the step-by-step process that it will take to be able to generate leads from the traffic and then be able to continue to work with people so that you can actually get your client's message out and serve their customers better than ever before. If you want to know how to quit selling the bag of apples and start selling the apple pie, that's the kind of stuff that we can talk about. So if any of this stuff resonates with you and you feel like you're just stuck selling these $1,000 websites or even less, then you don't have to be stuck with that. and we can help you get up. We can help you break free from that, rise above the crowd, differentiate yourself, so that you don't have to sweat the price that you put on the proposals. Like you don't have, if you're writing proposal after proposal and you feel like you're losing the jobs to people who are willing to do all the work for less, then you're probably selling bags of apples when everyone else is selling bags of apples and your price tag is just too high. So stop selling the bags of apples and start selling the apple pie. If that's the kind of stuff that you want to learn how to do, if that resonates with you, if you have that issue, call me up. I've got my schedule available. If you head over to doublestack.net/call, my personal schedule is there, and it's I've tried to make as many slots available as I can. I love helping folks with this. I love talking about this stuff. I love seeing the outcomes from folks that do this stuff. And so when you go to that page, you're going to see my personal schedule. It's not like the whole company or anything. It's actually just me. And so if you want to talk to me about this stuff, you can go over there and pick one of the times that works for you. After you pick one of those times, there's going to be a little form and there's a couple of questions. Just fill it out real quick, and that will help me know more about what you're doing and the kinds of websites and clients that you work with. So when we talk, I'll be better prepared to help you out. And then we'll get on the phone for like 45 minutes. And at the end of that call, you'll come away with at least 3 things. You'll know exactly who your target audience is. You'll know exactly what you ought to be charging for your stuff, and you'll actually be able to learn how to tap into recurring revenue, which is another thing we should talk about at some point. Is how can you even out your revenue so that you don't have that whole spiky, income thing where, like the feast or famine mode, where you build a website and you're so busy building the site and then you finally finish and then you get paid for it, but you were so busy building the site that you didn't have time to find new clients, and now you don't have any clients and you don't have any income until you find the next client, and that's stressful and it stinks and it's there's anxiety there. How long is it going to take until I get the next client? Well, wouldn't it be better if instead of just letting the client go, you were able to keep working with the client and actually have recurring revenue come from that relationship? And again, that too is founded in the initial thing. When you set that client meeting up and you come to the table ready to serve with ideas that will really help, and you begin to lead with integrity, it fundamentally changes all of the things from there. That's like the pin from which all the other stuff hangs. And so if that's the kind of stuff that you want to talk about, head over to doublestack.net/call. That's where you'll find my schedule. Pick a time that works for you. We'll get on the phone. We'll talk about those things, and it'll be awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks so much for showing up today, and I'll hope to talk to you soon. And if not, I'll definitely be back on Thursday at 2:00 for another one of these calls. So take care, guys, and talk soon.